She was wearing a faded university hoodie and holding a cracked iPhone, so they thought she was nobody. They thought she was an easy target. When Selena Vance, a white socialite in Manhattan, screamed at the young black woman to get out of her first-class seat, she didn't just humiliate a passenger. She made the biggest mistake of her life. Selena didn't know that the girl she threw into economy didn't just buy the ticket. She owned the company that just bought the airline. The air inside the exclusive Centurion lounge at JFK Airport was thick with the scent of expensive cologne, brewing espresso, and quiet entitlement. It was a Tuesday morning, the kind of grey, rainy New York morning that made everyone eager to escape to the sun. In the far corner of the lounge, tucked away from the buffet and the bar, sat Chloe Sterling. To the casual observer, and there were many casual observers judging her right now, Chloe looked entirely out of place. She was 26 years old, dressed in a pair of oversized grey sweatpants, distinctively worn-in Nikes, and a charcoal hoodie with the hood pulled up over her natural curls. She was typing furiously on a laptop that was covered in stickers, sipping a water bottle she had brought from home. She didn't look like the other patrons. She didn't have the Rimowa luggage or the Louis Vuitton carry-on. She had a canvas backpack that looked like it had survived a few hiking trips. Across the room, Selena Vance adjusted her sunglasses, even though they were indoors. Selena was 45, blonde, and draped in a beige Burberry trench coat that cost more than most people's cars. She was accompanied by her husband, Ryan Vance, a man who looked perpetually tired and was currently glued to his phone, checking stock prices. "I don't understand why they let just anyone in here these days, Ryan," Selena hissed, her voice loud enough to carry over the soft jazz playing in the background. She gestured vaguely toward Chloe's corner. "Look at that. It looks like a homeless shelter." Ryan didn't look up. "It's an Amex lounge, Selena. If she has the card, she gets in." "Probably a supplementary card from a boyfriend," Selena scoffed, sipping her mimosa. "Or she stole it. Honestly, the standards are slipping. I pay $6,000 a year for this card, and I have to sit next to someone who looks like she's about to ask me for spare change." Chloe heard every word. She didn't flinch. She didn't look up. Her fingers kept flying across the keyboard. She was in the middle of closing a sequence of code for Project Aegis, a cybersecurity infrastructure deal that was currently valued at $4.2 billion. Chloe Sterling wasn't just rich, she was change the GDP of a small country, rich. She was the youngest self-made female billionaire in the tech sector, but she valued her anonymity more than diamonds. "Flight 828 to London Heathrow. First-class boarding is now commencing," the intercom announced. Chloe closed her laptop, slid it into her canvas bag, and stood up. She stretched, feeling the ache in her back from a 14-hour coding marathon. She walked toward the exit, passing Selena's table. As she passed, Selena deliberately stuck her foot out, kicking her carry-on bag into Chloe's path. Chloe stumbled slightly, catching her balance just in time. "Watch where you're going," Selena snapped, recoiling as if Chloe was contagious. "God, you people are so clumsy. No spatial awareness." Chloe paused. She looked down at Selena, her eyes calm, dark, and unreadable. "Excuse me?" "You heard me," Selena said, waving a manicured hand dismissively. "Go on. Rush to the gate. I'm sure you're desperate to see if you can sneak an upgrade." Chloe stared at her for a second longer. A small, almost imperceptible smile touched her lips. "Enjoy your flight, ma'am," Chloe said softly. "Don't tell me what to do," Selena muttered as Chloe walked away. Ryan finally looked up. "Why do you have to antagonize everyone, Selena?" "I'm establishing dominance, Ryan. It's how the world works. If you don't put people in their place, they start thinking they own the place." Selena stood up, grabbing her Birkin bag. "Come on. I want to board first. I need to make sure there's space for my hat box." The boarding bridge was cold, a stark contrast to the humid warmth of the cabin. Chloe Sterling was the first to step onto the plane. She loved this part of travel, the quiet before the chaos. She handed her boarding pass to Sarah, the lead flight attendant. Sarah scanned it, and her eyes widened slightly. "Ms. Sterling, welcome back. We have you in 1A, as always." "Thanks, Sarah," Chloe smiled. "Just water for me before takeoff, please." "Of course." Chloe settled into seat 1A. On this specific Boeing 777 configuration, 1A was the prime spot. It offered the most privacy, the best window view of the Manhattan skyline during ascent, and extra storage. It was the seat she always booked. She placed her canvas backpack in the overhead bin and sat down, pulling out her noise-cancelling headphones. She had just closed her eyes when a sharp, piercing voice cut through the cabin air. Excuse me, stewardess." Chloe didn't need to open her eyes to know who it was. Selina Vance came stomping down the aisle, her heels clicking aggressively on the floor. She stopped abruptly at row 1, staring at Chloe with a look of sheer incredulity. "What is she doing there?" Selina demanded, pointing a finger directly at Chloe's face. Sarah, the flight attendant, rushed over, her smile tight. "Mrs. Vance, welcome aboard. May I see your boarding pass?" Selina shoved the phone screen into Sarah's face. "I'm in 1B. My husband is in 1E, but I specifically requested the window seat. I called the Platinum desk this morning." "I see," Sarah said, checking her tablet. "I'm afraid the window seat, 1A, was already booked by Ms. Sterling 3 weeks ago. Seat 1B is an aisle seat, but it is still first class and fully reclining." "I don't care about the recline," Selina shouted. The few other passengers boarding behind her stopped to watch. "I need the window light for my vlog. I am a lifestyle influencer with 200,000 followers. I cannot shoot my content in the aisle seat with people walking past me like cattle." Selina turned her glare onto Chloe. "You, get up." Chloe slid her headphones off, her expression remaining infuriatingly calm. "I'm sorry?" "I said get up," Selina enunciated slowly, as if speaking to a child. "You are obviously in the wrong seat. There is no way you paid for a first-class international ticket. How much was it? 10,000. Did you use miles? Did you win a sweepstakes?" "I paid for the seat, Mum," Chloe said quietly. "Please, stop shouting." "I will shout if I want to." Selina turned to the flight attendant. "Look at her. She's wearing sweatpants. She looks like she just rolled out of bed in the Bronx. This is first class. There is a dress code, isn't there?" "There isn't a dress code for paying passengers, Mrs. Vance," Sarah said, her voice trembling slightly. She knew who Selina Vance was, or rather, who her husband was. Ryan Vance was a mid-level hedge fund manager who made a lot of noise in the airline's complaints department. "Ms. Sterling is in her assigned seat." Selina's face turned a shade of crimson. Ryan, get over here." Ryan shuffled into the cabin, looking mortified. "Selina, please, let's just sit down." "No." Selina slammed her hand on the overhead bin. "I want that seat. I have status. I have been flying this airline for 15 years. This girl is probably an employee flying non-rev. I know how you people work. You upgrade your friends." She leaned in close to Chloe. "Listen to me. I don't know who you think you are, but you are ruining my experience. I have anxiety. I need the window. You are young. You can sit anywhere. Move to 1B. Now." Chloe looked at the seat map in her mind. She looked at Sarah, who looked terrified of a lawsuit. She looked at Ryan, who was cowering. "I prefer the window," Chloe said firmly. "I am not asking," Selina screamed. She actually reached out and grabbed the strap of Chloe's canvas bag, which was sitting on the ottoman. Move, or I will have you dragged off this plane as a security threat. I'll tell the pilot you threatened me." The cabin went silent. That was the nuclear option. In the post-9/11 world, accusing someone of a threat was a guaranteed way to get them removed. Sarah intervened. "Mrs. Vance, please do not touch the other passenger's property. She's aggressive. She's looking at me aggressively," Selina lied, playing the victim instantly. She put a hand to her chest, panting theatrically. "I feel unsafe. I can't fly with her behind me or next to me. She needs to move to the back, put her in economy." "We can't do that," Sarah said. "Then give me her seat, and she takes mine. That is the compromise," Selina declared. "Otherwise, I call the FAA right now and report this crew for endangering a high-status passenger." Chloe looked at Sarah. She saw the panic in the flight attendant's eyes. The plane was already 10 minutes behind schedule. If this escalated, they would miss their slot. The crew would be penalized. Chloe took a deep breath. She unbuckled her seatbelt. "Fine," Chloe said. Selina smirked, a look of pure, triumphant malice. "Finally. Some sense." "I'll move," Chloe said, standing up. She grabbed her bag. "Excellent," Selina said, instantly dropping the victim act. She threw her coat onto seat 1A before Chloe had even fully vacated the space. "Wipe it down, would you?" she snapped at Sarah. "God knows where she's been." "Miss Sterling," Sarah whispered, looking close to tears. "You can take 1B. Chloe shook her head. "No, I don't want to sit next to her. Is there a seat in the back?" "The back? You mean economy?" Sarah asked, horrified. "Yes. Far away from this," Chloe gestured to Selina. "Row 42 is empty," Sarah stammered. "Perfect," Chloe said. She stepped out into the aisle. She looked Selina Vance dead in the eye. "You really wanted this seat, didn't you?" "I deserve this seat," Selina corrected, settling in and fluffing her hair. "Go back to steerage where you belong, sweetie." Chloe nodded slowly. She pulled her phone out of her pocket. She tapped the screen 3 times. "Okay. Remember you said that." Chloe turned and walked the long, humiliating walk down the length of the plane, past the business class pods, past premium economy, all the way to the back of the bus, while whispers followed her. But as she walked, she wasn't crying. She was texting. Recipient, Asher, Chief Legal Counsel, Sterling Inn. Message, Initiate Protocol 7. Purchase immediate holding rights for Hangar 4 at JFK and freeze the assets of the Vance acquisition. Also, get me the contact for the FAA ground controller. Now, recycled air and disinfectant. Chloe sat in seat 42F, the window seat in the very last row. The seat did not recline. The bathroom was right behind her, the door slamming every 30 seconds. Next to her sat a young college student named Mike, who was eating a bag of chips. He looked at her. "Rough day. I saw them move you. That lady up front was a total Karen." Chloe smiled, opening her laptop again. "You have no idea, Mike, but the day isn't over yet." Up in first class, Selina was living her best life. She had forced Ryan to take photos of her holding a glass of champagne, staring out the window of Sat 1A. She posted it to Instagram with the caption, "Why not a boss babe?" First class life. Manifesting abundance. Sometimes you have to fight for what you deserve. "See, Ryan," Selina said, stretching her legs out. "The world rewards those who take charge. That girl is probably happier in the back anyway. She fits in better there." Ryan sighed, sipping his whiskey. "I have a bad feeling about this, Vic. She was too quiet. Rich people yell. Poor people yell. Really, really powerful people. They get quiet." "Oh, shut up," Selina laughed. "What's she going to do? She's a nobody in a hoodie." The plane pushed back from the gate. The safety demonstration played. The engines whined as they taxied toward the runway. Selina closed her eyes, ready for a nap. Suddenly, the plane stopped. It wasn't a gradual stop. It was a lurching halt on the tarmac, nowhere near the runway. The engines powered down to an idle hum. 5 minutes passed, then 10. The cabin grew warm. Murmurs started spreading through the plane. Babies started crying. "What is going on?" Selina complained loudly. "Stewardess, why aren't we taking off?" Sarah hurried by, looking flustered. "The captain is about to make an announcement, Mrs. Vance." "Well, tell him to hurry up. I have a dinner reservation in London at the Shard." A crackle of static filled the cabin, followed by the captain's voice. But it wasn't the usual smooth, reassuring pilot voice. Captain Miller sounded tense, confused. "Ladies and gentlemen, this is Captain Miller from the flight deck. I apologize for the delay. We have just been ordered by air traffic control to hold our position. It seems, well, this is highly unusual, but the ground authority has revoked our clearance for takeoff." Groans erupted throughout the cabin. "Furthermore," the captain continued, his voice dropping an octave, "we have been instructed to return to the gate immediately. Federal agents and airport authority have requested to board the aircraft to deal with a security and manifesto discrepancy involving a stolen seat assignment and a violation of federal aviation contract law. We ask all passengers to remain seated." Selina's face went pale. "A stolen seat assignment?" she whispered. Ryan dropped his phone. "Selina, what did you do?" "I didn't do anything," she hissed, though her hands started to shake. "It's probably a mistake. Maybe that girl was a criminal. Yes, that's it. She's a fugitive. They are coming to arrest her. That's why she moved so easily." Selina smiled nervously. "See? I did everyone a favor. I flushed out a criminal." The plane lurched again, turning slowly back toward the terminal. But they didn't go back to the normal gate. They were directed to a private tarmac area, usually reserved for diplomatic flights and private corporate jets. As the plane came to a halt, flashing blue and red lights were visible through the window of seat 1A. Selina pressed her face against the glass. "My God," she said. "There are 4 police cars and 2 black SUVs. And is that a news van?" A staircase was rolled up to the plane door. The door opened. Usually it's the airport police who board. This time it was 2 men in sharp black suits with earpieces, followed by a woman in a navy blazer holding a clipboard, and finally, 3 NYPD officers. They didn't stop at the galley. They walked straight into the first-class cabin. The woman in the navy blazer looked around the cabin. She had a face like stone. "We are looking for a passenger," the woman announced. "Selina Vance." Selina froze. Her champagne glass slipped from her hand and shattered on the floor. "And," the woman continued, "we are looking for Ms. Chloe Sterling." Sarah, the flight attendant, pointed to the back of the plane. "Ms. Sterling is in 42F. Mrs. Vance is right here." The woman in the blazer looked at Selina with utter disgust. Then she spoke into her radio. "Target 1 located. Retrieve the principal from the rear immediately. Get the principal off this bird now." 2 of the suits marched past Selina without even looking at her, heading straight for economy. Selina stood up, her voice trembling. I am the victim here. That girl threatened me." The woman in the blazer stepped forward. "Mrs. Vance, I am Agent Reynolds with the Federal Aviation Administration, accompanied by legal counsel for the Sterling Corporation. You are currently sitting in a seat that is registered property of the Sterling Trust under a corporate lease agreement for this airline's fleet. Furthermore, you are being detained for interference with a flight crew and theft of services." "Theft?" Selina shrieked. "I paid for a ticket." You paid for seat 1B, Agent Reynolds said coldly. You bullied your way into seat 1A, but that is the least of your problems. From the back of the plane, a commotion. The two men in suits were escorting Chloe Sterling up the aisle, but they weren't arresting her. They were carrying her canvas bag for her. They were shielding her. Chloe walked up the aisle, looking bored. She stopped right next to Selina's seat. Her seat. The entire first-class cabin was watching. Ms. Sterling, Agent Reynolds said, her demeanor changing instantly to deference. We apologize for the indignity. Your car is waiting on the tarmac. The board of directors is on the line. Thank you, Reynolds, Chloe said. She looked at Selina. Selina was shaking, her mouth opening and closing like a fish. You. Who are you? Chloe leaned in, her voice soft but carrying the weight of billions. I'm the girl who owns the hangar this plane is parked in, Selina. And I'm the girl whose company supplies the navigation software for this airline. And as of 5 minutes ago, I'm the girl who decided that your husband's hedge fund is a high-risk liability that my bank should stop doing business with. Ryan? Selina grabbed her husband's arm. Ryan was looking at his phone, his face grey. Selina, I just got an email. Our accounts are frozen. The firm, they're dropping me. Chloe straightened up. Officers, she's all yours. I want to press full charges for the assault with the luggage and the verbal harassment. I have it recorded on my phone. Wait, no, I'm sorry, Selina screamed as the NYPD officers stepped forward, pulling handcuffs from their belts. I didn't know. I thought you were nobody. That, Chloe said, turning toward the door, was your first mistake. The silence on Flight 828 was absolute, save for the metallic click, click, click of the handcuffs tightening around Selina Vance's wrists. You are hurting me, Selina shrieked, her voice cracking. Ryan, do something. Call our lawyer. Call the mayor. Ryan Vance remained seated in 1E, his head buried in his hands. He wasn't looking at his wife. He was looking at his corporate email account, watching the subject lines turn red. Urgent, compliance violation. Urgent, account suspension. Urgent, termination of employment review. Sir, one of the officers said to Ryan, you need to deplane as well. This aircraft is being impounded as a crime scene regarding the federal interference charge. Everyone is getting off, but you're coming with us for questioning. I didn't do anything, Ryan whispered, a broken man. You were complicit, sir, the officer said. Let's go. As Selina was marched down the aisle, not back toward the luxury of the first-class exit, but down the stairs to the waiting police cruisers on the tarmac, she saw the passengers. Every single one of them had their phones out. The college student from row 42, Mike, was leaning over the railing of the boarding stairs, recording in 4K resolution. Say cheese, Karen, he shouted. I will sue you. Selina screamed at the camera, her mascara running, her hair wild and frizzy from the humidity. I will sue every single one of you. Mrs. Vance, stop talking, the officer advised, pushing her head down to protect it as he shoved her into the back of the squad car. The seat was hard plastic. It smelled of vomit and old coffee. It was a far cry from the lie-flat seat of 1A. Through the wire mesh of the police car window, Selina watched a scene that would haunt her for the rest of her life. 50 yards away, a sleek, matte black Rolls-Royce Cullinan had pulled up to the plane's side. A chauffeur in a grey suit held the door open. Chloe Sterling descended the stairs. She didn't look back. She didn't gloat. She simply handed her canvas backpack to the driver, slid into the back seat, and the car glided away, escorted by 2 police motorcycles. That's my car service, Selina sobbed irrationally. That should be me. The interrogation room. JFK Port Authority Precinct. 2 hours later, Selina sat in a cold, windowless room. Her Burberry trench coat had been taken as evidence. Her shoelaces had been removed. The door opened, and a man walked in. He wasn't a police officer. He was wearing a bespoke three-piece navy suit, a Patek Philippe watch, and carried a leather briefcase. Selina's eyes lit up. "Thank God. Are you the lawyer Rian called?" The man smiled, but it wasn't a warm smile. It was the smile of a shark sensing blood in the water. "No, Mrs. Vance. My name is Michael Thorne. I am the General Counsel for Sterling Industries. I am here to deliver a cease and desist order and a notice of civil litigation." He slid a thick binder across the metal table. It landed with a heavy thud. "What? What is this?" "We are suing you for damages," Michael said calmly, taking a seat. Flight 828 was grounded. Fuel had to be dumped. A crew timed out. The airline, which my client has a controlling interest in, estimates the total operational loss at $1.4 million. We are holding you personally liable for that amount. "I don't have $1 million, Selina gasped. "We know," Michael said. "We ran your financials. You have some equity in a Hamptons home, a joint brokerage account, and a leased Range Rover. We will be attaching liens to all of it." "But it was just a seat." Michael leaned forward. "Mrs. Vance, you physically assaulted a billionaire tech mogul who currently holds Department of Defense contracts. You disrupted a federal flight, and you did it all because you thought you were better than her. Ms. Sterling doesn't want your money. She wants to make an example of you. She wants to ensure that the next time you see someone who doesn't look like they belong, you remember this moment." The door opened again. A police detective stepped in. "Time's up, counselor. We need to process her for the arraignment. The DA is pushing for interference with flight crew members. That's a federal felony, Mrs. Vance. Up to 20 years. Selina finally broke. The entitlement shattered, leaving only a terrified middle-aged woman realizing her life was over. While Selina was being fingerprinted, the internet was doing what it does best, destroying her. Mike, the student from seat 42F, had uploaded his video to TikTok. He titled it, "Racist Karen Steals Seat from Hidden Billionaire. Instant Karma." Within 3 hours, the video had 14 million views. The algorithm loved it. It had everything. A screaming antagonist, a calm hero, a massive twist, and a satisfying police arrest. The internet detectives. By the time Selina was released on bail that evening, posted by a furious Ryan who had to liquidate his 401k to cover the bond, her name was the #1 trending topic on Twitter, X, in the United States, the UK, and Australia. But it wasn't just the video. The internet sleuths had gone to work. Reddit user, Windsor Justice Served, found Selina's influencer Instagram page. They flooded her comments. Every picture of her drinking wine, posing with luxury bags, or bragging about her status was now filled with clown emojis and comments like, "How's the view from jail?" and "Seat 1A to cell block C." TikTok user 8corporate released a deep dive video exposing Selina's past. "Guys, I did some digging. Selina Vance isn't just a random Karen. She was actually fired from her HOA board last year for harassing a Hispanic gardener. This is a pattern." The meme economy. A screenshot of Selina's face pressed against the plane window as the police arrived became the meme of the year. The caption read, "When you ask for the manager, but the manager is the FBI." The press statement. At 8:00 p.m., Chloe Sterling's PR team released a statement. It was short, classy, and devastating. "Ms. Sterling is saddened by the events on Flight 828. She believes that dignity and respect are not determined by ticket class or attire. While she regrets the inconvenience to the other passengers, she is cooperating fully with federal authorities to ensure that safety protocols are upheld. Ms. Sterling has also donated the cost of the entire flight's refunded tickets to the NLNWANCP Legal Defense Fund. The statement was a masterstroke. It painted Chloe as the benevolent leader and Selina as the villain, without Chloe ever having to say a mean word. The influencer collapsed. Selina sat in her living room, her phone blowing up. But it wasn't brands offering deals. Ping email from Nordstrom. Dear Mrs. Vance, we are terminating your affiliate partnership, effective immediately due to a violation of our community standards. Ping email from HelloFresh. Partnership cancelled. Ping email from the Hamptons Country Club. Mrs. Vance, the board has voted to suspend your membership pending the outcome of your federal trial. Please return your gate key. She had spent 10 years building her brand. It was erased in 6 hours. She went to delete her Instagram account, but her hands were shaking so badly she dropped the phone. "Ryan," she screamed, "fix this. Call the agency. Tell them it was a misunderstanding." Ryan walked into the living room. He was still wearing his suit from the plane. He looked like a ghost. "There is no fixing this, Selina," he said quietly. "And there is no us anymore." To understand why Ryan Vance was packing a suitcase, you have to understand the reach of Chloe Sterling's empire. Chloe wasn't just a coder. She was the founder of Sterling Aegis, a company that provided cybersecurity backbones for 40% of the Fortune 500 banking institutions. Ryan worked for Vanguard Capital, a mid-tier hedge fund. Vanguard Capital used Sterling Aegis software to secure their trades. The meeting 3 hours before Ryan got home, while Selina was still in jail, Ryan had been summoned to his office. He walked into the glass-walled conference room. The CEO of Vanguard, a man named Mr. Henderson, was standing by the window. "Sit down, Ryan," Henderson said. "Sir, I can explain. My wife, she has these episodes." "Stop," Henderson held up a hand. "This isn't about your wife." "Well, it is. But it's about the liability she introduced to this firm." Henderson tapped a piece of paper on the table. "Do you know what a reputational hazard clause is, Ryan?" "Yes, sir." "Good. And do you know that our contract with Sterling Aegis has a specific clause, Clause 14B, that allows them to terminate service if any executive of the client company engages in conduct that is harmful, malicious, or discriminatory toward Sterling leadership?" Ryan's blood ran cold. "She invoked the clause?" "Ms. Sterling's lawyers called me personally," Henderson said, his voice shaking with suppressed rage. "They threatened to pull our encryption keys. Ryan, if they pull our keys, we can't trade. We would lose hundreds of millions in an hour. They gave me an ultimatum: drop the dead weight, or the firm dies." Henderson looked at Ryan with zero sympathy. "You are the dead weight, Ryan. You can't fire me for what my wife did. I can, and I am. You are a liability. Your judgment is compromised. And frankly, after seeing that video, I don't want you here." Henderson slid a paper across the desk. "Termination for cause, no severance, no golden parachute. And security is waiting to escort you out. If you try to take a stapler, we will sue you." The home front back in the living room, Ryan zipped up his suitcase. "Where are you going?" Selina demanded, standing amidst the ruins of her life. "I'm leaving Selina," Ryan said. "I lost my job. I lost my pension. We are going to be sued for millions. I spoke to a divorce attorney on the cab ride home." "You're leaving me? Now? When I'm a victim?" Selina screamed. "You're not a victim," Ryan finally snapped, his voice booming off the walls. "You're a bully. You've always been a bully. You treat waiters like trash. You treat me like an accessory. And today you treated the wrong person like dirt. I'm done. I'm not going down with this ship. You can't leave me. I have no money. They froze the accounts. "I know," Ryan said, walking to the door. "Karma is a beach, Selina, and it looks like she flew first class today." He slammed the door. Selina Vance was alone. The house was silent, except for the buzzing of her phone, which was now vibrating across the coffee table with a new notification. It wasn't an email, it was a push notification from her bank app. Alert: foreclosure proceedings initiated. Mortgage note. Holder: Sterling Real Estate Holdings, LLC. Chloe hadn't just sued her. Chloe had bought the debt on their house. Selina slid to the floor, burying her face in the expensive Persian rug she could no longer afford, and screamed. The arraignment was scheduled for 9 a.m. on Monday at the Queens County Criminal Court. It was the sort of place Selina Vance would usually only visit if she were serving jury duty, from which she would inevitably try to wiggle out by claiming irreconcilable bias. Now, she was the main event. Selina had spent the weekend in a motel near the airport because the locks on her Hamptons house had been digitally changed by the bank, specifically by the Sterling Asset Management foreclosure team. She had one outfit left, a wrinkled tracksuit she had bought at a drugstore, but she had hope. She had hired Leonard the Hammer Russo. Leonard was a strip mall attorney known for getting drunk drivers off on technicalities and suing grocery stores for slippery floors. He cost $500 an hour, which Selina paid by maxing out the last functioning credit card she had, a secret emergency card Ryan didn't know about. "Listen to me, Vicky," Leonard said, pacing the small conference room outside the courtroom. He smelled of stale tobacco and desperate ambition. "We are going to flip the script. You aren't the aggressor. You are the victim of corporate entrapment." "Entrapment?" Selina asked, adjusting her messy hair in the reflection of the window. "Yes, that sounds right. Tell me more." "Think about it," Leonard said, his eyes gleaming. Why was a billionaire dressed like a homeless person? Why was she sitting in 1A? Why didn't she identify herself? It was a setup. She wanted you to yell at her. She baited you. It's a psychological operation designed to destroy a regular, hard-working American citizen. We go in there, we cry, we blame menopausal hormones, and we blame the airline for confusing signage. We sue them. Selina nodded vigorously. "You are a genius, Leonard. I was confused. The lighting was bad, and she looked threatening." "Exactly," Leonard winked. "We play the fear card. You were scared for your safety." The courtroom was packed, not just with the usual drunks and petty thieves, but with press. The New York Post, Daily Mail, and TMZ were all there. The Karen of Flight 828 was the hottest story in town. Judge Harrison, a stern woman with zero tolerance for nonsense, banged her gavel. "Case number 429281, The People versus Selina Vance. Charges: interference with flight crew, simple assault, disorderly conduct." "Not guilty, Your Honor," Leonard shouted before the judge even finished. "And we move for immediate dismissal on the grounds of entrapment and emotional distress inflicted by the complainant." Judge Harrison looked over her glasses. "Mr. Russo, your client is on video poking a passenger in the chest and screaming about a hat box. How is that entrapment?" "It was a provocation, Your Honor." Leonard waved his arms theatrically. The alleged victim, Ms. Sterling, used her immense wealth to orchestrate a situation where my client, a fragile woman suffering from flight anxiety, was forced into a confrontation. Ms. Sterling could have simply identified herself. She chose not to. This is a billionaire bullying a normal housewife. For a second, the courtroom was silent. It was a bold, audacious lie. Then, the prosecutor, a sharp young man named David Hayes, stood up. "Your Honor, the people would like to submit evidence item B into the record. It is additional footage from the airport security cameras before the flight. Objection, Leonard yelled. Blindside. Overruled, the judge said. Play it. The large screens in the courtroom flickered to life. The video showed the Centurion Lounge. It showed Selina Vance tripping Chloe Sterling on purpose. It showed Selina laughing as Chloe stumbled. It showed Selina saying, clear as day on the audio recording, I'm establishing dominance, Ryan. If you don't put people in their place, they start thinking they own the place. The courtroom erupted in murmurs. Judge Harrison's face turned to stone. Mr. Russo, your argument that your client was baited seems to be directly contradicted by the fact that she initiated physical contact in the terminal 30 minutes prior to boarding. Leonard loosened his tie. He was sweating profusely. Well, Your Honor, that's just playful banter. Playful banter. The judge slammed her gavel. Bail is denied. Remand the defendant to custody pending trial. And Mr. Russo, if you present a frivolous defense in my courtroom again, I will hold you in contempt. Custody, Selina screamed as the bailiffs moved in. No, I have a plan. I have a lawyer. Leonard, do something. Leonard was already packing his briefcase, avoiding eye contact. He knew a sinking ship when he saw one. While Selina sat in Rikers Island, awaiting her next hearing, the legal machine of Sterling Industries was stripping her life down to the studs. This is the part of the story where the karma went from financial to deeply personal. Chloe Sterling didn't just want to win, she wanted to ensure Selina could never hurt anyone again. That meant a forensic character audit. Chloe's team of private investigators began digging into the digital footprint of Selina and Ryan Vance. What they found was enough to bury them 10 times over. Michael Thorne, Chloe's lawyer, visited Ryan Vance at the cheap apartment he was renting in New Jersey. Mr. Vance, Michael said, sitting on the folding chair. We found the emails. Ryan, unshaven and drinking cheap beer at 11 a.m., looked up. What emails? The ones between your wife and the admissions board of the prep school your daughter attends, Michael said, sliding a file across the table. Or rather, attended. Ryan opened the file. His face went pale. Selina hadn't just been a bully to strangers. She had been running a smear campaign against other parents at the prestigious St. Jude's Academy to ensure her daughter, Ashley, got the lead role in the school play and the spot on the debate team. The emails were vicious. She had anonymously accused one father of embezzlement, false. She had started a rumor that the drama teacher was having an affair, false. She had even sent a fake threatening letter to the principal, claiming it came from a rival student. We turned these over to the school board this morning, Michael said calmly. They have expelled Ashley effective immediately. Ryan put his head in his hands. My daughter, she didn't do anything. She's innocent. Then maybe you should have protected her from her mother, Michael said coldly. Collateral damage, Mr. Vance. But there's more. Michael flipped the page. We also found your wife's charity ledgers. Selina had been the treasurer for the Hampton Save the Shoreline Fund. It turned out she had been siphoning off about $2,000 a month to pay for her Botox and specialized Pilates classes. She listed them as administrative consulting fees. This is embezzlement, Ryan, Michael said. The IRS is already involved, but Ms. Sterling is willing to offer you a deal. Ryan looked up, tears in his eyes. Anything. I just want to save my daughter's future. I don't care about Selina anymore. Testify, Michael said. Testify against Selina regarding the charity fraud. Give us full access to her hard drives. In exchange, Ms. Sterling will set up an educational trust for your daughter, ensuring her college is paid for, provided she has no contact with her mother until she is 18. Ryan didn't hesitate. He grabbed the pen. Where do I sign? 2 months later. Selina Vance was out on a compassionate release, pending trial due to a medical condition. She had faked a seizure in her cell so convincingly that the prison doctor recommended house arrest to avoid liability. She was wearing an ankle monitor, but she was desperate. She had heard about the winter solstice gala in Manhattan. It was the event of the season. Everyone who was anyone would be there. In Selina's delusional mind, she believed she could fix this. If she could just get into that room, find the mayor, or find one of her old high society friends, she could explain her side. She could charm them. She could cry. She could get a pardon. She spent her last dime buying a counterfeit invitation from a scalper online. She dug out an old gown that the police hadn't seized because it had a wine stain on the hem. She did her own makeup. She cut the ankle monitor off with a pair of garden shears, a felony she justified as necessary for survival. She arrived at the Pierre Hotel in a taxi. She swept past the paparazzi, who didn't recognize her at first because she looked so gaunt and aged. She made it to the check-in desk. "Name?" the attendant asked. "Clarissa Dalloway," Selina lied, using the name on the fake invite. The attendant scanned the QR code. It beeped red. "I'm sorry, this code has been deactivated." "That's impossible," Selina hissed. "Check it again. Do you know who I am?" "I know exactly who you are, Mrs. Vance," a voice came from behind her. Selina turned around. Standing there was her former best friend, Cynthia. Cynthia looked radiant in emerald silk. But Cynthia wasn't looking at Selina with pity. She was looking at her with revulsion. "Cynthia!" Selina grabbed her arm. "Thank God, you have to help me. Get me in. I need to talk to the senator." Cynthia peeled Selina's fingers off her arm. "Don't touch me, Selina. We're friends. We went to Cabo together." "We aren't friends," Cynthia said, her voice loud enough for the line to hear. "We were never friends. I tolerated you because Ryan managed my husband's portfolio. But now, you're social poison, Selina." Suddenly, the double doors to the ballroom opened. Chloe Sterling walked out. She looked breathtaking. She wasn't wearing a hoodie today. She was wearing a custom Alexander McQueen gown that looked like liquid starlight. She was flanked by security, but she stopped when she saw Selina. The lobby went silent. "You," Selina whispered, "you ruined my life." Chloe stepped closer. "No, Selina, you ruined your life. I just turned on the lights so everyone could see the mess." Chloe motioned to the large screen in the lobby that usually displayed the seating chart. "Since you're here," Chloe said, addressing the room, "I thought everyone should see the new initiative Sterling Industries is launching tonight." The screen changed. It showed a picture of Selina's house in the Hamptons, the one that had been foreclosed on. "This property," Chloe announced, "was recently acquired by my firm. As of tomorrow, it will be the new Vance Center for inner-city youth arts programs." The crowd gasped, then applauded. "We are busing in children from the Bronx every weekend to learn painting, coding, and music in the very living room where Mrs. Vance used to judge people for their tax brackets." Chloe smiled. Selina felt the room spinning, her house, her sanctuary, filled with them. "And one more thing," Chloe said, looking at the security guards. "There is a woman here who has violated her parole and destroyed a police-issue ankle monitor. I believe the officers are waiting outside." 2 NYPD officers stepped into the lobby. "Selina Vance," the officer said, "you have the right to remain silent." As they dragged her away, kicking and screaming in her stained gown, in front of the entire social elite of New York, Selina locked eyes with Chloe one last time. Chloe didn't smile. She didn't smirk. She just looked bored. She turned her back and walked into the ballroom. The trial of Selina Vance was not just a legal proceeding, it was a cultural phenomenon. Dubbed the first-class felony by the media, it dominated headlines for weeks. Every detail, from Leonard Russo's disastrous defense to Ryan Vance's tearful testimony, was broadcast, dissected, and memed. The jury, composed of 12 ordinary New Yorkers, took less than 3 hours to deliberate. On a rainy afternoon, with the entire world watching, the foreperson stood and read the verdicts. On the charge of interference with flight crew, we find the defendant, Selina Vance, guilty. On the charge of simple assault, we find the defendant, Selina Vance, guilty. On the charge of grand larceny regarding the Hamptons Save the Shoreline Fund, we find the defendant, Selina Vance, guilty. Selina slumped in her chair, her face devoid of all color. The victim card had been utterly shredded. Judge Harrison, presiding over the sentencing hearing 2 weeks later, spoke with a gravitas that silenced the packed courtroom. Mrs. Vance, you have demonstrated a profound lack of empathy, a persistent pattern of harassment, and a blatant disregard for the law. Your actions on Flight 828 were not an isolated incident. They were the culmination of years of believing yourself above consequences. You not only disrupted a commercial flight, but also caused significant financial damage and emotional distress to innocent individuals. The judge paused, looking directly at Selina. The court takes into account the multiple testimonies, including that of your estranged husband, regarding your history of bullying and deceptive practices. For the federal crime of interference with flight crew and the associated state charges, this court sentences you to 3 years in federal prison, followed by 2 years of supervised release. A gasp rippled through the courtroom. 3 years. It was more than anyone expected, for what many initially thought was just a dispute over a seat. Furthermore, Judge Harrison continued, for the embezzlement of the charity fund, you are sentenced to an additional 2 years to be served consecutively. This means a total of 5 years in federal custody. You will also pay full restitution to the Hamptons Save the Shoreline Fund, the airline, and Ms. Sterling for all damages incurred. The hammer fell. Bam! Selina Vance, the woman who believed she deserved seat 1A, was escorted out of the courtroom, not to a private car, but to a federal prison transport van. Her life of luxury, influence, and unearned entitlement was over. Where are they now? Chloe Sterling continued her meteoric rise. Sterling Industries diversified further, investing heavily in educational non-profits, including the Vance Center for Inner-City Youth Arts programs. Chloe remained fiercely private, but became a quiet force for social justice, proving that power could be wielded with grace and devastating effectiveness. She eventually bought the airline outright, rebranding it as Ascend Airways, with a strict zero tolerance for discrimination policy. Ryan Vance. With Chloe Sterling's quiet backing, Ryan was able to rebuild his life, albeit humbly. He worked as a financial advisor for a small ethical firm, specializing in pro bono work for non-profits. He diligently paid for Ashley's education fund, and his relationship with his daughter slowly, painstakingly, began to heal. Ashley, traumatized by her mother's actions, excelled in her new, less prestigious, but more supportive school environment, eventually going to a top university on a full scholarship from a foundation Chloe Sterling quietly funded. Selina Vance served her full 5-year sentence. Upon release, she emerged into a world that had not forgotten her. Her name remained synonymous with entitlement and karma. With no assets, no friends, and a criminal record, she struggled to find employment. She tried to restart her influencer career from a public library computer, only to be met with a barrage of mockery and derision. She disappeared from public view, a cautionary tale of what happens when privilege believes it is impenetrable. Sarah, the flight attendant, was promoted to head of cabin services for Ascend Airways, Chloe Sterling's new airline. She was instrumental in training new staff on conflict resolution and passenger dignity, ensuring no one ever had to endure what she and Chloe had on Flight 828. The enduring lesson: kindness costs nothing, humility is invaluable, and karma, when delivered by a hidden billionaire in sweatpants, is the most expensive fare of all. And that, chroniclers, is the jaw-dropping, real-life saga of Selena Vance, the woman who learned the hard way that you never, ever mess with someone just because you assume they're nobody. What started as a petty act of snobbery on a plane spiraled into a total meltdown of her entire life, proving that true power isn't about how loud you scream, but about how quietly you can ground an entire flight. This story isn't just about a seat. It's about respect, accountability, and the undeniable force of karma. If you found yourself cheering for Chloe Sterling or recoiling at Selena Vance's audacity, then you know exactly why these stories need to be told. So, hit that like button if you think Selena got exactly what she deserved. Share this video with someone who needs a reminder about humility, and don't forget to subscribe to Karma Chronicles for more real-life tales of justice served, proving that the universe always keeps the ultimate score. Until next time, stay humble, stay kind, and remember, you never know who's really flying in Seat 1A.